Have you ever reached the end of the month, looked at your bank account, and just genuinely wondered where all the money went?
Oh, absolutely.
You earned it, it was right there, and then poof, it's just vanished.
Swallowed up. Yeah, it's an almost universal experience. And
Yeah.
it's no wonder people feel so much anxiety around money.
Well, yeah. We're constantly told we need to budget, but then you look at the advice out there and
It's intimidating.
yeah.
It's full of jargon, complicated spreadsheets, systems that feel like they were designed for accountants, not for, regular people.
Exactly. And that's why today we're doing a deep dive into the 50-30-20 rule. It's so popular specifically because it cuts through all of that complexity.
It really does.
It's a straightforward framework meant to bring some clarity and hopefully some control back to your finances.
The rule is, well, it's beautifully simple. At its core, it's a framework that says you divide your after-tax income, and that's the key part, the money that actually lands in your bank account, into 3 buckets. 50% for your needs, 30% for your wants, and that last 20% goes to savings and debt repayment.
And this specific idea, it gained a lot of traction thanks to U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, right? She championed it in her book, All Your Worth.
That's right. And the simplicity there is completely intentional. The goal is to make it easy to execute.
Yeah.
It really has 2 core objectives. First, to create financial stability by making sure your essentials are always covered. And second, it just cultivates healthier financial habits. It gives you these immediate guardrails for your spending.
Guardrails is the perfect word for it. So let's unpack those 3 pillars right now so you can start thinking about how to categorize your own spending. Let's start with the biggest piece of the pie, that 50%.
Okay, so the 50% is for your needs. And we have to be really clear on the definition here. These are your essential, non-negotiable costs.
For the things you absolutely have to pay to survive.
Exactly. If you stop paying them, your life would get very difficult very quickly.
So give us the specifics. What absolutely has to be locked into that 50%?
Yeah. Well, housing is number 1. So rent or your mortgage payment. Then you've got utilities, electricity, water, heat, and essential internet service.
Essential internet, not the super fast gigabit gaming package.
Not the premium package, no. Then you have basic groceries, food to keep you healthy, not, gourmet dinners. And transportation to get to work, so gas, car payments, or bus fare. Essential insurance, too. Health, car, that sort of thing.
And there's one more piece in here that I think trips people up. It's the absolute minimum payments on any debt you have, right?
That's the one. Minimum payments on credit cards or student loans are a need, because if you don't pay them, there are serious consequences. It's a cost of survival in our financial system.
Okay, so the goal is to keep all of that under 50% of your take-home pay.
That's the ideal, yes.
But hold on, what if you live in a really high-cost city? Your rent alone could be close to 50%. Is this rule just impossible for some people?
That is a fantastic and critical question. The 50% is the target, but its real power is diagnostic.
What do you mean by that?
If you track your spending and find your needs are consistently at, say, 60 or 65%, the rule isn't failing you. It's telling you something.
It's a red flag.
It's a huge red flag that you have a structural problem. It means you either need to find a way to dramatically reduce those costs, maybe move or get a roommate, or you have to significantly increase your income. It highlights the imbalance.
I like that reframing. It's not a failure, it's a diagnostic tool. Okay, let's move on to the 30% for once. This feels like where all the unnoticed spending happens.
This is your discretionary spending, for sure. These are the non-essentials that, yes, they improve your quality of life, but you could live without them if you had to.
But why is it 20%? That seems pretty high. Shouldn't we be trying to save as much of that as possible?
You could, but that 30% acts as a necessary safety valve. Warren argues that if you make your budget feel like a total deprivation diet, you'll just burn out and quit.
Budget burnout. I've been there.
We all have. That 30% allows for some joy in your spending, which makes the whole plan sustainable for the long haul.
So we're aiming for a marathon, not a sprint. What kind of things fall into this joyful spending category?
This is your dining out, your takeout, that daily coffee. It's entertainment streaming services, movie tickets. It's leisure travel, hobbies, non-essential clothes, maybe a high-end gym membership when a cheaper option, or even working out at home is available.
This is the first place you look when you need to cut back.
Precisely.
All right, that brings us to the last piece, the 20% for savings and debt repayment. This is the part that really sets you up for the future. You're paying yourself first.
Yes, this is the engine of your financial progress. This 20% is all about your long-term goals.
So what does that include?
Well, number 1 is contributions to your emergency fund. That is foundational. Then, retirement investments, your 401k, an IRA. Also, saving for big goals like a down payment on a house.
Now let's go back to the debt part again, because this is so important. If the minimum credit card payment is a need in the 50% bucket, what kind of debt payment goes in this 20% bucket?
Any payment you make above the minimum.
Ah,
Think of it this way. The minimum payment is just survival, maintaining the status quo. But any extra payment is a choice you're making to achieve a goal, becoming debt-free. It's a forward-looking action, so it belongs in your financial goals bucket.
that clarity is really helpful. Okay, so now that we know the pillars, how do you actually put this rule into action?
We can break it down into 4 pretty simple steps. Step 1 is where a lot of people go wrong right out of the gate.
Right.
You have to calculate your after-tax income,
Your net income.
your net income, what actually shows up in your checking account after taxes, deductions, all of that.
And for freelancers or business owners, this is even more critical, right? You have to subtract your estimated taxes and business expenses first.
Absolutely non-negotiable. If you budget based on your gross income, you're planning with money that isn't actually yours. It belongs to the IRS. You have to isolate your true personal income before you start.
That's a great point. Okay, so after you have that number, what's step 2?
Step 2 is to track and categorize everything. You need to conduct a little internal audit on yourself.
For how long?
For 1 to 2 months, track every single dollar you spend. Use an app, a spreadsheet, whatever works. The key here is just radical honesty. You can't cheat and call your fancy coffee a need. You're just collecting data.
And once you have that honest data, step 3 is to adjust.
Right. You compare your audit to the 50, 30, 20 percentages,
Yeah.
and the budget will show you exactly where the leaks are.
So if you're spending like 45% on wants.
The rule tells you exactly where to cut back. Maybe it's dining out less or dropping a streaming service you don't use. If your needs are at 60%, it forces you to look for ways to lower those bills.
And step 4, which you've hinted is maybe the most important.
Automate. This is the superpower. It removes temptation and what we call decision fatigue.
How does that work in practice?
As soon as your paycheck hits your account, you set up automatic transfers for that 20%. Move it immediately to your savings account or to make that extra debt payment.
So it's gone before you can even think about spending it.
It's gone. You can't accidentally spend your savings on a want because it was never in your spending account to begin with. It's the simplest way to prioritize your future.
Okay, let's make this really concrete for everyone listening. Let's use a fictional example. Let's call him John Doe, who has a nice, clean after-tax income of $4,000 a month.
Perfect. So, applying the rule, John's spending boundaries are set instantly. He has $2,000 for needs,
50%,
$1,200 for wants,
30%,
and $800 for savings and debt.
20%. Okay.
And that structure gives him so much confidence. Within that $2,000 for needs, he might have $1,200 for rent, $400 for groceries, $200 for utilities, and $200 for his car and minimum payments. He knows he's covered.
And that confidence then flows into his wants budget.
It does. With that $1,200, he can plan for fun without guilt. Maybe he sets aside $300 for a trip he's saving for, another $300 for restaurants, some for entertainment.
And he doesn't have to feel bad about it because that money was literally allocated for fun.
It was meant for it. And then his $800 for savings is split strategically. Maybe $200 goes to his emergency fund, $300 is automatically invested in his 401k, and the last $300 goes to paying down his credit card extra fast.
That example really highlights the key benefits, doesn't it? The first is just simplicity.
Simplicity and ease of use, definitely. You don't need a finance degree. And second, it provides that clear, actionable structure. It removes the ambiguity.
And I think the third, maybe unstated benefit is just the reduction in stress.
Oh, massively.
Knowing your needs are met, your future is being funded, and you have a clear amount left for fun, that's got to be priceless for your mental health.
It really is. But, we've painted a pretty ideal picture. We have to get into the critical thinking here because no single method is a perfect one-size-fits-all solution.
Right. Let's talk limitations. Why might this perfect 50-30-20 ratio just not work for some people?
The biggest challenge is what you brought up earlier, realism. For people in high cost of living areas or for lower income earners, that 50% for needs can be, well, a fantasy.
If your rent and childcare eat up 65% of your income, the rule just breaks.
It breaks. And that can lead to frustration, not empowerment, which is the opposite of what we want.
And another pressure point has to be debt. If you're buried in high-interest credit card debt, is 20% really enough?
For a lot of people, no. It's not aggressive enough for a rapid payoff. You could be paying huge amounts in interest for years. And finally, the fixed percentages can feel really rigid when life happens.
A medical emergency, a job loss.
Yeah, exactly. Life isn't a neat spreadsheet.
So given those limitations, we have to stress that this is a guideline, not a law. You can and probably should adjust it.
Absolutely. It's flexible. If your main goal right now is to destroy your debt, you can totally adjust the percentages.
So you might shift money from the wants category over to savings and debt.
For sure. You could do a temporary 50-20-30 split, or if you're really serious, a 50-20-40 split, and just throw 40% of your income at your debt until it's gone.
And what if this whole percentage method just doesn't click with your personality? Are there other options?
Definitely. One of the most popular alternatives is zero-based budgeting.
Where every single dollar has a job.
Every dollar gets an assignment. Income minus expenses has to equal zero. It's for people who love details and want maximum control.
So 50-30-20 is about simplicity and guardrails, and zero-based is about precision.
That's a great way to put it. It really comes down to your financial personality. There are also other percentage splits, like a 60-30-10 rule, which acknowledges that for many people, needs are just more expensive.
Ultimately, the 50-30-20 rule is a fantastic starting point. It's an accessible tool that gives you a clear path forward and helps you build that financial clarity.
It is. So the call to action for you, listening, is to really evaluate your own goals and your expenses. See if this structure, even an adjusted one like 552520s, could empower your financial health. Because at the end of the day, the best budget is the one you'll actually stick with.
And if the whole point of budgeting is to reduce financial stress, that leaves us with a final provocative thought. How much of that daily grinding financial stress is caused not by the amount of money you make, but by the complete and utter lack of structure for the money you already have? Start tracking today, and you might just find out.